All right, Saints Nation, thank you for sticking around here with us as we are finally getting into game number 1 here in the Play vs. Fortnite Trios playoffs in the qualifying heats. Of course, this time by since, of course, we are in the game client itself. We get to see everybody's point of view here, and we already see Captain Ciriuhs already taking some heat before he even makes it to the landing. And it looks like as of right now, the St. Clair squad are just opting to do the same similar strategy that they've been doing for the majority of the regular season in regards to landing all the way on the far west side. But even still, like Ciri already being down, it was down at least anyway, a little bit of health, and instead of being able to get topped off at 100, he's already going to be lit up a little bit. So a rough start here for Ciri compared to some. But with that being, of course, a very similar start to regular season, does mean that other teams, especially with the replay feature in these Fortnite or in the Fortnite game, you can definitely not necessarily steal strats, but you may have a rough idea. Like, okay, we know this team likes to go here, so we better be careful, or we can get the jump on them. But with that though, just being in game here, don't mind the loading screen here and there, but we are going to be able to jump between everybody's point of view. As much as we love Ciri, we're not going to be just sticking to him here today. We're going to stick with all of our Saints members here in these Play vs. Fortnite Trios matchups. Very confident start, even though Ciri did find himself lit up ever so slightly. He was going to get him and the rest of the squad to go as spread out as far as possible to build up as much get as much of an arsenal as you can possibly get early on here into these games. An area that, of course, like I was saying before, that they're oh so comfortable in being in. With Ciri and the castle. Juneyy, where are you at right now? House a little bit further down to the southeast, a little bit closer to, I believe that's Holly Hedges down there. And then Laysix, as of right now, nearby as well. Going to be working with some crafting, as well as maybe dealing with the NPC to, sure enough, get himself already a purple assault rifle. Nice little start. So we can take a look at some of the other loadouts here for our Saints as of right now. We got ourselves a shotgun, we've got an assault rifle as well, and we have ourselves a little bit of a back and forth possibly here, right on the outskirts of Holly Hedges. Juneyy was thinking about making a play, but he's actually going to opt to dive down to this island here. I do believe you can find yourself some chests, or at least a little bit more crafting materials. And sure enough, just going to be able to load up of sorts here on his building materials as well. Where's Laysix at? Laysix still in the building itself, loading things up. Doesn't have to necessarily move right now. Ciri made his way out of the castle, so still out in the open, but nobody really peppering him, so lots of time. Even though it looks like it was a little bit nerve-wracking there from Ciri on the landing, seems to be a nice, quiet, simple start here for the Saints squad, which is absolutely what you love to see here if you're fans of the Saints. And I mean, you may be looking for some instant action, but sometimes that can spell doom if it does not fall in the right favor, especially with a lot more points being given out in regards, or a lot more consistent points rather, being given out based off of your finishing position. It's definitely something you want to play around. You see Ciri, and I believe that's Laysix coming down here with one of the Rocket League cars. Sure enough, I do believe that was and ended up being him. Definitely the most well loaded as of this moment. Actually, a nice little shotgun there for Juneyy as well. Got that legendary shotgun. And of course, Laysix, the 2 assault rifles, and then a bit of a longer range rifle here in the pocket of Ciri as well, alongside the crossbow, which of course we do see pretty consistently from the Saints across all season, especially if they can find themselves that the crossbow that you've put with a stinkfish. That way you can make yourself basically shoot poisonous mines. Let's see that a little bit later on. Saints looking like they're just about ready to get a move on here. The storm, of course, on the way, but still has about 3 minutes before it actually really starts to collapse in on to them. So if your last little bit of loot and get out of dodge. And while we are just loading up on loot, let's see if it'll let me do this here. Let's take a look and see what the battle map is showing us here as of right now. As we can see, all these white arrows, don't get baited. That's not a player, that is an NPC. So someone you can get quests from or take down yourself, but not somebody that you're probably going to have combat with. Meanwhile, we do see over by the Sweaty Sands area, there is one team always seeming to be there. Possible collision course here for the Saints, but if they do opt to go towards the Holly Hedges area, there is another team there as well, just waiting for teams to come into that safe zone, considering the position of the storm as of this moment. So the storm positioning going to make things a little bit difficult for the St. Clair squad as they move on forward, but should be able to squeak in just fine. And it looks like Laysix is going to spot one of the players down over by the gas station. Pops a shot. That's going to hit a car, though, so not going to find any damage onto the player himself or herself. Team building up, looking to battle here. I wonder if we can take a look and see exactly who this is around here. If I pop up that map one more time, will it show me who it is? It's not going to show me who it is. You're going to just have to take my word for it. Or at least the time being. And you can kind of see, compared to the regular season of the PlayVS Trios, this is already a much slower game. Only having 2 teams eliminated right here, right now, the fact that there's still 80 players in the game. Usually by this time in a regular season matchup, we'd be down to 60-something already. And it's just going to show the difference in mindset that these players here today are taking into each of their matches, because one of the things too with the way this is being set up, it's not just hop into the queue as soon as you're dead. They play out every single round, then they give each team about 5 to 10 minutes, then they start the queue again over and over again. That way nobody misses it and everybody's in lobby ready to go. So that little extra delay for somebody who just had themselves a very, very long game is actually kind of nice. You get yourself to have a little bit of a breather. You don't have to just constantly floor it constantly. However, you get eliminated early, you are best be warming up, because you are going to be cold going into that next game, and that is an absolute terrible position to put yourself into. But now, with the last 30 seconds here of the storm moving on in, Saints going to be able to make it on through. That being said, however, there could be a bit of a battle up ahead here. Juneyy going to be leading the charge here for the St. Clair squad. And we do see the Teal squad right up ahead here. Juneyy spots them out. Shots fired back and forth here. Or shots fired rather from the side of this other team, but not necessarily from Juneyy as of yet. I do hear some other shots coming though. This Ciriuhs and Laysix possibly firing up. Gonna try and mess with their vehicle ever so slightly. We've seen in the regular season that Ciriuhs is not afraid to try and shoot through the window and get himself an elimination. He's done quite a few times, including one game I recall that he got like 4 of them in one game. I was definitely popping off for that one. Seeing one is usually pretty difficult, let alone seeing multiple. Of course, a little bit of lag. Don't worry, that's not on your end. That is just on the server's end. So, of course, we are on the slightest of delays compared to what the players are seeing in real time. We see shots. Who is firing this one off? Is that going to be Ciriuhs up from the top? Again, just trying to continue to pressure. But this is a different team, actually. The Maroon squad over to the east. Going to just absolutely try to run away from the situation. Don't want to deal with the Saints as of right now. So Saints not afraid to fire themselves some warning shots, but as the Saints move towards the Weeping Woods and have ourselves another bit of a breather, let's hop on in and take a look as I accidentally completely switched who I was going for. Let's take a look and see if I can fix that back here. Let's see, where in the world are our squad? One stray mouse click, and we are all the way to the other side of the map. But here we go. Now we're back with our Saints squad. I said we can definitely do that, though. Okay, here we go. So as we see, Storm moving on in. Our Saints there in the Weeping Woods, the yellow squad up ahead. And you can start to see all these teams getting ready to converge on the area. Actually, can I take a look and see who this is? Okay, so let's take a look. We aren't going to necessarily know which squad this is. I do recall seeing Noms a couple of times during the regular season. Definitely a tough player in his own right. Could be on a possible collision course here with our Saints squad if they are not careful. Let's see. Let me click on them once. Well, let me click on them again. Let's take a look. No, we're over here by CJ. It's just giving me random people at this point. Okay, I see the mouse is kind of breaking here. So we'll hop on over and try this again. Don't mind me learning spectator features as we go along here. For the longest time, this spectator feature was actually broken, so we could not necessarily even use it when we were relying on Discord feeds from our players in order to get the match broadcasted to all of you. We do see our Saints on the outskirts of this safe zone. A little bit of shots fired, but nothing making contact as of right now. Where's Juneyy? Juneyy leading the charge once again, taking more of a leadership role in this early game, to say the least, in regards to scouting. A lot of the times in the regular season, we would see Ciriuhs being the one who would kind of dive on forward, possibly start the engagements, check if places are safe, look for any signs of past player interaction. But it seems to be over on Juneyy's side of things, and of course we know Laysix definitely ready to go as soon as an engagement happens. The one ready and waiting with the shotgun, just try and get the jump onto somebody from above. But in this early phase, not necessarily his time to strike, but we'll definitely see later on as we move on forward. Weapon check and supply check here for our Saints. Right now Juneyy's in a pretty solid spot in regards to having a bunch of medicine, a bunch of healing supplies if need be. Ciriuhs, a little bit weaker, but not too bad, but does definitely have a good mixture in regards to the arsenal, having that purple assault rifle, that SCAR, alongside the shotgun and the pistol for a little bit of extra damage. And meanwhile, Laysix, of course, he has that legendary shotgun alongside that blue rifle, and some decent healing in his own right. Saints, though, gotta get ready. We have ourselves a possibility of being the third party on a battle that is already underway. So we're going to move forward. He's going to take a little bit of shield damage right off the pop. Juneyy taking a lot of heat as well, trying to get himself back into the swing of things. Laysix, the best healed as of this moment. Gets a little bit of a potch on somebody's shield, but it's not going to be a lot. And if anything, he gets tagged as well. Saint's going to take the quickest second. They're all going to retreat for the time being, and it does help considering that other squad up ahead kind of has their hands tied a little bit with another team. Otherwise, that could have been really bad for the Saints, as they were possibly all sitting ducks popping those potions. Ciriuhs spots the one team getting ready to hop towards the river. But that green squad does not realize, though, they are going to be on a collision course with yet another team on the other side. And of course, with this safe zone moving once again, possible collision course here. Nice little shot there from Laysix. Going to pop some shields off once again. Can they get the dolphin diving squad here of the green team? Not going to find their mark as of right now. Never mind. Laysix finds a couple shots. Juneyy and Ciriuhs all here as well. Ciriuhs on the move, actually. Going to try and just help start off the play here with the low ground. Just basically doing a cliff dive, making their way across the river in that regard. Not going to take that bridge because, as we can see here in the mini-map, that bridge is an absolute death trap here for whichever team wants to go for it. In fact, I'm very curious if it'll let me take a look and see the action as we speak. Possibly. No, it's not going to let me click on it. So, going to get denied in that regard, but of course we can still see on that bottom right mini-map, just right where the Saints want to try and emerge here with the Storm safe zone, there is like 5 teams ready and waiting here for them, including one NPC, it looks like. So lots and lots of action possibly right around the corner. A minute left before the safe zone gets collapsed on once again. Ciriuhs using other forts as some cover, but that red team, once again, that we saw a little bit earlier, going to be popping some shots over towards Ciriuhs. Ciriuhs moving towards his building, does not realize there's a player right there. That's going to be the players that we saw down by only hedges a little bit earlier. It's going to be, I believe, Nom Squad. Owned by Nom Squad, unfortunately not necessarily by the institution that they represent, but a familiar face nonetheless here, as the Saints do manage to get themselves at least fortified up at least a little bit, as some more teams, some more players are starting to fall here in this game. We're down to 69 players, 25 teams still left here in this game. And while we hang on for just a second, let's see the craziness converging in here on this area. Okay, that's a little bit messy, but that's one way that we can figure out who's who later on down the road, I suppose. The Saints' current position does not lend them in a safe spot. They're going to just have to crawl through, but that orange squad is going to be right there to kind of cut them off here. Shots fired. This is going to be Juneyy taking some shots, it looks like. Taking some shots towards, I believe that's the red squad from afar, but a little bit of shield damage, but keeping themselves alive, fortified up in the far side. Did hear a player die through the lag, but it wasn't any of them that the Saints were going for. For Saints right now, no eliminations on the board. All their points are just strictly based off of finishing, or surviving rather. So you see the 5 points in that golden area next to their health bar. That'll be one way to help keep track of how many points they've had so far in this series. If it's working properly, it should go accumulative over all the games here today. You can kind of see some of the movements here from some of the Saints players. Definitely starting to feel a little bit nervous. Ciriuhs taking some damage. Do you see the purple or the maroon squad a little bit over towards the north side, making things a little bit difficult here for Ciriuhs. Does have enough healing to keep himself in the game, however, as a Storm getting ready to move once again. Saints are not going to be able to stay here. They need to move, and need to move sometime soon, to the point where they may kind of force themselves to go through the Storm. We'll see as soon as the game catches on up here, but it's going to be a little bit messy to say the least. So as you see that mini-map once again, it is starting to get cluttered here. That orange team is still right below the Saints as well. Lots of shots fired, but nothing making contact as of yet. Juneyy looking for his opportunity and going to take a couple shots, not going to quite find them as of yet. Ciriuhs, though, up on the sniper tower of sorts alongside Laysix. They're kind of exposed themselves a little bit, but they want some damage. They want to catch a straggler, maybe see if they can snag themselves that point or two from just catching somebody running from fort to fort. But now with the Storm going to be on their tails, they are going to have to move. Try and keep on pushing, but they do realize now that Storm is literally right on their tail. They're going to move their fort ever so slightly, but there's a purple team over to the south that is going to be really making things a little bit difficult here for them. A couple more players drop in the vicinity, but nothing towards the side of the Saints. Burrito there on that orange squad. Going to be kind of peppered down here by Ciriuhs. Not going to be able to take any damage as of this moment. However, Laysix gets knocked down, however. It's going to be Burrito making the move. Here's Juneyy and Ciriuhs in the 2v1, but where is the rest of this orange squad? A little bit short to follow, it looks like. Juneyy is going to take some heat, however, out of pretty much nowhere. Laysix did end up getting finished off. Swear I see phantom bullets at this point, but right now the Saints just mainly focused in on their healing. So far, so good here for the Saints. A little bit awkward, but they're at least keeping themselves alive. Ciriuhs making his chance to take a swing. He gets some decent damage. He does knock down Green 1, but is that going to result in the actual elimination with the Storm coming? I do think so. They don't necessarily have a whole heck of a lot of safe zone to really work with here, and that is going to be the elimination from the Storm. So Ciriuhs going to pick that one up here for the squad. Juneyy hanging on by a thread, has one potion left. The Saints took a ton of damage early on here in this game. They're going to have next to no healing for the rest of this unless they can find themselves elimination and just strike gold with loot. Ciriuhs, nice elimination. They do get the kill onto Burrito. So he may have taken Laysix down, but it's not going to go unchecked. Going to take them down. Juneyy, however, getting messed up, and the Storm is right there as well, which is going to be rough here. Ciriuhs is pinned down, and sure enough, all of the Saints are going to end up falling here. So with that being said, and considering the action is still going on through, we have to wait for the next game anyway. So you know what? We're just going to run this. We're going to go all the way to the end here, considering we're going to have to wait a long time. And you know what? For the fans, let's get some more action here. We're not going to stop things off just quite yet. Check out as many teams as we possibly can here. We're going to ride along here with this red squad, and it's going to actually allow us to maybe play around with a couple extra spectator tools and maybe level that up a little bit. Let's take a look and see how this free cam works, why don't we? So we see quite a few teams here in this corridor. It's going to be parkour, end up going down as well. This maroon, this purple team here really putting the pressure here on this red squad, but who else is here nearby? It does look like green team, empty, and a couple more CJ and squad. You just see how absolutely chaotic this end game scenario is. The storm is always on the move, absolutely nowhere to go but basically right into another player. And right now, this purple squad up top here, Toastiest Waffles and his squad, absolutely in a perfect spot. Capeller, as I go basically right through the floor, sorry about that one. But in the best possible scenario, you're all the way up in the high ground and you get to shoot down on everybody. It's an absolute perfect case scenario as the field just changes absolutely out of nowhere. Lots of back and forth shots here from absolutely everywhere. Even up in the high ground, you're not necessarily safe. Capeller up in the high ground, getting peppered a little bit. Toastiest Waffles and Meepy, of course, still in the best position, just constantly diving along this the storm. It's going to move once again in just a second. Let's see if we can hop in here with one of the teammates of one of the players we were taking a look at a little bit earlier, Twin5, who's basically here with the rest of his squad in the middle of things. Could he find himself a quick little jump, however? There is another player around the other side if he is so inclined. He's not going to quite find him this time by, though. Where is his buddy? There's Rancer right beside him as well. So our young heroes of sorts going to keep on keeping on in this one. And it gets closer and closer to absolute chaos. Storm on the move once again. Same old song and dance here for the squad up top, though. Meepy just absolutely raining hell on everybody who is trying to make their move. We are down to 21 players, all fighting for this extremely tiny spot here. Possible engagement down in the bottom here. Smarty looking to get the jump on empty. Not quite going to find it, however. Rancer, looks like that team that we were following is completely gone. Red team has been eliminated. This is definitely a little bit difficult to try and follow, but we're going to do this together here as the purple and blue team seem to be the main ones still alive. We are down to 17. Can we get ourselves a look at one of these players? Definitely trying to find that right here, right now for you. Let's hop on through and see what's up with this squad here. Lots of hurt members. Crater here on this squad here alongside Sergeant, Sash, and Cut, trying to keep themselves alive. 16 players still in the game. 7 teams, and this one's still to go. Crater, Cut, and Sergeant are all going to get absolutely dropped. So we're going to hop on over now to the one who did the eliminating onto them. Sage right here. Just did some work, but he's going to end up going down. So where are we going to switch now? We have 3 teams left in this game. It's going to be CJ. We saw him a little bit earlier here with Empty and Goober, but just hanging on by a thread. The Lone Wolf, Derpy, and Dylan in this fishing. And fishing for kills they are. Absolutely loading up the kill feed in their favor. There's Dylan is fishing. He's going to get the jump on to CJ, but Derpy's fishing. Hangs on tight. Meepy, Toasty, and Capeller, these are the guys who are up in the high ground for the longest period of time. They are going to all survive, and they're going to be the ones getting the victory royale in this first matchup here in the Play versus Trios playoffs. So a solid job, and it just goes to show how often that high ground advantage can translate into a victory royale. We've seen our Saints do it a couple of times during the regular season, and pretty much any time if they had the opportunity to stay up high for an extended period of time, it just felt like they couldn't be touched. And Meepy, Capeller, and Toastiest Waffles there were doing exactly what they needed to do in that situation. And the fact that all of them got to survive towards the end was absolutely crazy. Nicely done from them. That being said, though, we're going to be hanging on tight as we get ready to go for game number 2. Since we did see that game to its completion, it should be a little bit less time before we hop into game 2. Better than just throwing it to a break and then just saying, oh, our Saints are done, I guess we're going to music. As much as the music's actually kind of nice. Want to give you a little bit more than just that. So hope you've enjoyed that different style. Be sure to let me know if you enjoyed the casting the other squads as well, because I know it's not something I necessarily did through the regular season because you could just hop into another queue and just keep on moving here. Before we do throw this to a break, though, I'm going to quickly try and see if we can see where our squad is in regards to the finishing positions, because of course the goal is the top 15. You get into the top 15, you're in for tomorrow's, or not tomorrow's, but Thursday's playoff run. However, still have a bit of a way to go if you're not quite there just yet. Quickly trying to see. I don't see us here on the list at all. There we go. Okay, so actually, going to quickly throw it back to our screen right here. It looks like we are actually sitting there with 20 points in that game. How many eliminations did we get there? So 2. So we managed to score 2 eliminations. We did see Ciriuhs finish off a couple of them in, or I think both of them there at the very tail end. But with that, that does put us 17th in the game. Saints are always known to, regardless of which game we're playing, to be fair, they always like to play right on the edge there, just to kind of make me have a heart attack here on the caster's desk. So they're putting on a show up for us, and they are going to be hopping into the next game very, very shortly. Hope you stick around. We're just getting started here with the PlayVS Fortnite playoffs. These trio heats, definitely that heating up, and you don't want to miss it. Be sure to stick around.